or what you don't doesn't what you're not understanding about their talks. Does that sounds good? Thank you. Thank you for your positive support. Uh, so then I'll don't waste the time. I will introduce the first speaker of our lightning talks today. It's Eddie Avila. He's from Bolivia, I believe. He's a very active editor on Wikivoyage, especially about his hometown Cochabamba. Lovely. And he will explain how we can support indigenous communities that want a Wikipedia in their native languages. Let's give them a round of applause.
Let's go here up there.
You can go upstairs. And maybe you don't need the computer. You need?
Just my notes. Right? Good morning. Can you hear me okay? Yes. My name is Eddie Avila. I'm with the Rising Voices Project with Global Voices. And we work in digital inclusion towards the goal of digital equity so that communities, marginalized communities, have the tools, the skills, and the networks necessary to tell their own story and represent themselves online. While we work around the world, some of our communities with which we work, especially are in Latin America, partly because I'm based in Bolivia. And so we work with indigenous communities in Latin America. One of our first experiences working with the Wikimedia movement came in 2014 when we partnered with a number of organizations, including Wikimedia Mexico. There's Ivan and Carmen here. At a gathering of indigenous digital activists in Oaxaca, Mexico. And then later with Wikimedians of Colombia, Sebastian, I think he was here. We worked with them at a similar organization event in Bogota, Colombia. There we saw firsthand some of the early interests in sharing knowledge in native languages. But we also saw the first signs that it's not easy. While we knew there were projects in the work, there are active and incubator projects in native languages and indigenous languages in Latin America. It wasn't always clear how and why these projects started and who were the people behind those efforts. So last year we received a project grant from the Wikimedia Foundation to run a mapping project to get a current snapshot of the active and incubator projects in indigenous languages, as well as the challenges and opportunities for those languages. In all, we looked at more than 30 sites. We spoke with active, inactive, and potential editors, as well as affiliates from Latin America that have experiences supporting those groups. So together with lead researcher Rodrigo Perez, he's a Zapotec activist from Mexico, we ran the mapping project starting beginning last year to the middle of this year. And so based on some of those interviews and data collected and analyzed, we came up with some better ideas of how to best work with these communities. So obviously, I think it may sound obvious, but we think that these initiatives should come from the community. From time to time, I've heard different people outside the community say, "Oh, it would be great to have Wikipedia in this language," or how can we get started in helping start a language project and for my country, even though they don't speak it. In the past, some well-intentioned people felt it was necessary to build out incubator projects in hopes that it will attract speakers to contribute. And so that hasn't always worked out. So we think that initiatives should come from the language community itself. And one way to do that is to raise awareness about what's happening now so that other communities can step forward and say, I want the same thing for my language. And then also, we feel it's important to have participation by the community. Again, that may seem pretty obvious, but we think that native speakers should take the lead in this. It's not always easy due to the social, technical, and political barriers to participation that we spoke about yesterday in the Wiki Cafe. There are many, many cases where there are non-native speakers who have acquired the language as second languages because they feel it's important to learn the language of their country, another indigenous language of their country. And in some instances, they even read and write better than native speakers who may speak and understand it better, but they may not have uh, the skills to read and write because they may not be a standardization of the language. Not to say that the second language learners have no role in this, but native speakers should take the lead in this and hold leadership positions within those sites to decide the future of those sites. They also need to attend conferences like Wikimedia to further integrate themselves into the movement, but it's not always easy because of the language barrier. And then finally, with the community, again, this may seem obvious, but if there's an initiative where it's arising from the community itself, where there are native speakers who are interested, we need to find a way to support them. And it really is a team effort. We saw some interesting models of support structures where there are speakers teaming up with non-speakers to help support the site. There are many experienced Wikipedians who are interested in this, who could help with admin tasks to help set up the complicated incubator process, help with Translate Wiki, the interface, designing projects, and decentralizing the help so it doesn't fall on one or a small number of people. We're exploring the possibilities to help convene a user group made up of native speakers around the region to help facilitate this process, building a mentorship structure so that speakers and non-speakers can help build this together. Throughout this process, there's been a lot of great support from the movement, some affiliates in particular, like Mexico, Colombia, Venezuela. Now I got to meet Jonathan from Peru, speaking many of the same languages that are in Bolivia. From the foundation, Marty was our program officer. She's been very helpful in encouraging us to consider new perspectives. Maria has been very helpful in connecting us with other people and helping us with the learnings of the projects. Jorge from Global Reach, Vahi from Education have been really supportive in helping these communities in practice. And I know it's a complex process. We've seen different approaches to knowledge by different communities. We heard about oral citations, and even whether traditional indigenous knowledge has a place in Wikipedia due to the open licenses. In the past, many of these communities have been exploited for their knowledge, their knowledge has been misappropriated, and so that's another talk in itself. And so it's not easy to support these projects.
Okay.
And one last paragraph. No? Okay, thanks. Sorry.
Well, thank you, Eddie. It sounds a little bit like Oscar words that. We,
I didn't hear the music.
yeah, we should have some music about we're thanking you. Yes. But anyway, I also need to maybe I need to heads up for the speakers. So mostly there will be 5 minutes for the speaker, and when the first mini ends, Ulrika will like 1 for you, and if it's you've talked about 2 minutes, it will 2, like using 2 arms, and if it's 3 minutes, are you going to do the 3 and the 4 and the 4? Okay, so try to. If it's 4 minutes, she will become very annoying. But anyway, so
5 minutes.
yeah, totally we got 5 minutes. But try to go for 3. Yes. So the next one,
The slide.
yes, just go.
Yes, just here. Sorry.
Go here, click down. Yes. Yeah, so this the next presenter.
Where do I? Into this one? No, I will do it.
The next one speaker will be Virginia Diaz. She is from Wikimedia España, Spain, and sorry.
Virginia.
Oh, okay. Thank you so much, Andrea. And So she's also the communication director of communication, and she will explain how the WikiWoman and other projects related to gender gap will be closed through the deed in Spain they're working on. Let's welcome Virginia Diaz.
Hi. So, good morning, everyone. Well, we all know how gender gap is a major issue in the Wikimedia movement across the world. Just to give you a little hint on how are things in Spain, there we go with some numbers. We only have around 15% of women editors. This obviously influences content, and we only have 22% of here, like this. I will do like this. Good, good, okay. So 22% of biographies dedicated to women. Women represent 23% of our membership in Wikimedia España. Our staff is equal. I am half of the staff. The other half is my colleague Ruben Ortega that you may know already. And we've got 14% of women in our board, which is 1 out of 7 members. So this information gives us 2 main conclusions. One, we need more women editing to have more and better women-related content. And the second one, we are getting better in engaging with women, but we seem not to be encouraging women enough to take active roles or participate in decision-making processes in our different projects. So this is what we've got now, but how do we change it? So far this year, we have organized 19 editathons. 14 of them were specifically focused on improving content about women in Wikipedia in different knowledge areas, such as science, art, literature, design, or archaeology. And we also celebrate and reclaim women's rights with a variety of activities in the International Women's Day on the 8th of March by organizing activities across the country. We are aware that caring and community health are very important to generate spaces for women, so we are working in that. We are also building stronger relationships with organizations to help us do it. And something very related to feminism is that whatever we don't name and whatever we don't give a specific importance in our messages remains invisible. So as we are working on giving visibility to women in the Wikimedia projects, we are also working on better communicating with media and with society in order to raise awareness about this issue that we're facing and on the activities that we are putting in place to improve it. One of these activities is Día de las Escritoras, is the Day of Women Writers. It's an editathon which main objective is giving visibility to Latin American and Spanish female writers that we organize together with the National Library of Spain and 2 feminist organizations. This is something we started in 2016, and we repeated this year because it's beginning to be a huge thing that gets a lot of visibility. We do improve Wikipedia content by adding articles about female writers, their achievements, and their legacy. The initiative also gets attention from media that are now covering news saying, for example, that this important writer will be having now an article in Wikipedia thanks to Día de las Escritoras. Some results for all these activities that we're doing are the following. This year, we've got more than 350 new articles about women, more than 60, sorry, I wish it would be 100. More than 60 improved articles about women, almost 2 billion bytes added, content with a feminist point of view also in the Wikipedia, engagement with 117 women participating in our activities. media coverage in regional and national newspapers interested in gender gap, and radio interviews about our work regarding this topic. But what are the challenges for the future? As I was saying, we not only want to increase female membership, ratios, and participation in Wikimedia España, we also want to empower women to take part in our decision-making processes, and we want more women assuming leadership roles in our different activities and projects. That's what we are tackling right now, and we hope to get there soon. And the last thing is, let's fight gender gap together, because there's no other way to do it than taking into consideration other qualities of diversity, such as race, gender, class, ability, or ethnicity. So, thank you.
Thank you very much, Virginia. I think it become really a hip of finding more female participants and write more about the women's related content on Wikipedia, which will also lead us to the next speaker. But before that,
okay.
we want you to find a partner, just one partner next to you. But if you find, if the table is odd, I mean, if there are 5 people, then maybe 3 in a group. You can share one sentence. The maximum might be 3, since we don't have much time to your partner. And we will end this in 30 seconds. So go. It's a reflection or anything you're wondering or you feel stuck in the lightning talk before. Thank you.
I can speak.
Uh, 10 seconds. 3, 2, 1.
Okay. This one, yes? Okay.
Is that good?
You can start.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. I can feeling the discussion is getting hotter and hotter. Really nice. That's how diversity should become. Hotter and hotter. Yeah. Not climate change, but heated. Well, anyway, so sorry for my bad English, but next one we'll invite Hannah Yariv. She is from Hebrew Wikipedia. She's a very dedicated editor and also administrator. She also involved with the education program in Tel Aviv.
And Israel Wikimedia chapter.
Yes. Yeah.
I'm on the board of the
yes.
Israeli chapter.
Yes. So and she also involved a lot in the comments. She likes to contribute photos, and now we're gonna hear about her ideas and actions on how to make more women editors involved, and what good result, good trend lead from this action.
Okay.
Okay, let's welcome Hannah. A round of applause, yay!
Leon,
Yes.
I forgot something. I'm also OTRS volunteer. I hope you know, all of you, what is OTRS. I'm very active in Hebrew, So a large part of my activity, I use my personal, I think the personal approach. This is the way I'm doing things in Israel. I have no hesitation and no shame to approach and contact people well-known people in Israel, institution, organization. I found out if you ask for something, most of the time they agree to do it. If you're ashamed, you achieve nothing. So I can call them and ask them, and it's okay, because you know, if I say that I'm Wikipedian, it's helped a lot. It's people have, you see, you are Wikipedian. Wow, yeah, I can help you. This is because they know that we have influence what's written about them. So they want, and sometimes they send me even email, please change something in our article and things like that. So this help a lot and use it. So I'm going to give you 2 examples. I have a lot of examples, but I choose 2 of them. For 7 months ago, I don't know if you heard about Alison Jackson. She is a British photographer, very provocative. I'll show you some example of her work. And she was in the exhibition, opening exhibition in Haifa Museum. And I went to see her. And after she introduced and she's telling about her work, she is amazing. I contacted her, I said, I'm Hannah, I'm from Hebrew Wikipedia. I want you to donate some of your work to Commons. And she said, okay, immediately, no problem. So she gave me a credit card, and not credit card, business card. If she gave me her credit card, I would be very rich. Sorry. And I sent her an email, and she sent me all of her work. So I have to choose 5 pictures from many. It was not easy because some of her work is really provocative. So I tried to choose some of them that really, one of the, you can find it, you see she is using lookalike, and she is a lookalike Elizabeth II Queen sitting on the toilet. So, but I didn't choose this for Commons because it's really provocative. So I can show you some of her work. Look, it is. This is not Trump. This is a lookalike. I think it's amazing, this picture. You can find it in an English article. This is also not Trump. It's not Bush, it's lookalike, trying to solve the Rubik's cube. And she is here. This is not the royal family. They are lookalike. So another photo that I didn't upload, she also photographed Kanye West with his baby. This is really Kanye West. So so now we have 5 of her work. I also took a lot of pictures of her. We didn't have a Hebrew article, but now we have. Someone wrote, I asked him, and in English. So I upload her picture to even to Swedish Wikipedia with the text in English because I don't know German, I don't know Esperanto, but it's still there in English. So you can go and fix it, Swedish person here, because the text is in English. 7 months. Another example that I have, when in 2014, Ruben Rivlin, our president, replaced Shimon Peres, not Perez, Peres, this is the way we pronounce it, as president. And I want to be there, to take picture to upload to Commons. I tried to reach them, they didn't answer me. I contacted journalists, well-known. Then I contact Shimon Peres' daughter, Tzvia Valden, and she said, okay, I didn't attend to this ceremony. But what happens, they contact me, and now all the pictures that they sent to journalists, they sent also to me. We get OTRs. That's why I emphasize OTRs, because I know how to do it. And almost 1,000 pictures were uploaded, some of them of persons that didn't have any picture on Commons because they visit the president and they come. So this is the way I'm also using to recruit women. Personal touch, personal approach. A professor from University of Haifa sent me women that I help and they want to write, and I call them and they call me and I help them by personal, by editing, by email, things like that. This is a way I believe everyone can use and try if you are not ashamed. That's all.
Thank you, Hannah. Thank you for
Here as the president, this is what we give them, a template,
Okay.
donate template, okay?
That's lovely. Sorry for the time constraint. We need to move on, but it's provocative and I mean, heated. Yeah. Wow. So it's really, yeah. Let's do that. So next speaker, well, she's Sabine Ronson. I hope I am pronounce it well.
Yeah.
And I didn't find much about her. I know she is studying in Oslo and Akershus University College and for library and information. And she did some survey regarding to the woman editing, and she will give you what's the concerns they have. Let's give her a round of applause. Welcome.
Thank you. Do you hear me okay? Closer? Like this? Is it okay? Yeah, okay. So this summer, I was lucky enough to land a summer job at Wikimedia Norway. And over the course of 2 months, I interviewed 6 female contributors from both Norway and Sweden to get their perspective on the gender gap on Wikipedia. And we talked about the gender gap among the contributors, but also the gap in terms of the content on Wikipedia, like the gender imbalance in biographies and the lack of articles on topics related to women. And they had many compelling observations and opinions on both why there is a gender gap and also the consequences of it. And one of the concerns they brought up that I found very intriguing, and the one that I would like to address today, is the growing fear many have that in the attempt at being as encyclopedic as possible, Wikipedia is cementing in place some unfortunate practices. An example of one of these practices is too strict demands on notability. And I want to point out that the evidence I have are purely anecdotal. It's based on the experience of those I interviewed, people who work with the gender gap issue, and my own. Nevertheless, the general experience is that the criteria are much stricter and much more often applied on biographies on women. That for a woman to be considered notable enough, she has to have done a lot more than her male equivalent. And another example is articles or whole topics being deemed not important enough or worthy of a lexicon. And sadly, a tendency is that subjects where women traditionally have more knowledge are being particularly scrutinized under these demands. And I'm aware there's an ongoing discussion on what Wikipedia is and what Wikipedia is not. And my objective is that when we discuss this, we take into account that throughout history, women and their endeavors and fields of interest have been overlooked, underestimated, and at times ridiculed. And the same can be said for a lot of underrepresented populations and people who differentiate from the social majority. And a recurring argument is that Wikipedia is not the place to convey progressive ideas. But I object to that. I think that in order to be relevant, Wikipedia has to reflect the diversity and include new ideas and school of thoughts. So my question is, how can we prevent Wikipedia from falling victim to the same conservatism and exclusive thinking that historically has characterized traditional encyclopedias? And really, how do you discuss this with people who disagree with you? Thank you.
Thank you so much, Sabine. So the next speaker will be Sophie Jansson. Thank you. She will also address the there is a interesting event called Wikipedia Camps that she's. Oh, let me click for your slide so people can see you. And in the Wikipedia camps, they are having opportunity to recruit unrepresented groups. So let's hear about what she's saying. Give her a round of applause. Yay.
Thank you. I was making this talk from the questions in our quest for getting more people identifying as women into the Wikimedia movement. Can separatism be the solution, a tool, or an end? I've been one of those who thought separatism to be silly. I've always felt comfortable hanging out with both boys and girls, men and women, young and old, and I felt completely safe even in groups where I was the only female. During my life, many of my best friends have been male. When I started writing on Wikipedia, things changed. Or, more specifically, when I tried to get more people identifying as women to join me, then things really changed. I was one in a small group in Gothenburg that started weekly editathons, but we call them write-ins because that's much easier to say. Don't you agree? And I spoke about Wikipedia with friends and with friends' friends. I talked about editing at dinner parties. I held lectures for teachers. And during this time, I met more than a few women who had tried to edit Wikipedia once or twice and that had been scared away, and who now were reluctant to give Wikipedia another try. When Lennart Gullbrandsson and I, a couple of years ago, organized the WikiCamp, we decided to try to only invite people identifying as women. And this year, we even took it further when we also had only female leaders at the camp. The camp was all about editing Wikipedia and contribute to commons and that sort of things, and nothing else. But when asked, half of the participants said that the fact the camp being free from men had been more or less crucial for them to send in their application. And 9 out of 10 thought that there being no male presence had had a positive effect on the camp. And the 10th participant said that for her it didn't matter. Now these women from both years of camps are great ambassadors for Wikipedia. They talk about the movement in a positive ways, and many of them have already learned other women how to make edits on their own. And the camp made ripple effects. And we actually have one of our first camp members here as a volunteer today. So now I'm finding myself standing here, a believer that separatism can be needed, but perhaps more as a short-term tool, because I don't think that the separate room is a solution. I think the need for separatism to be a symptom of a problem that we as a movement have. So what should we do about that problem? That's all for me. Thank you very much.
Discuss that.
Okay, yeah. So yes, thank you, Sophie. It's incredible that you have editathon or writing event every week. That's really a long marathon. I mean, in that turn. So right now it's also become another discussion time. Find your buzz partner right now and try to express your reflection, your question in under 3 sentences. So 30 seconds. Go. Where's John? And Janek? Yes, please come to the table. Thank you. Okay. Thank you. Uh, try to finish it. Okay. I think this is nice. People are engaging. And we're also very engaged to the next speech. The next speech is from a friend of mine who we meet the very first time here in Stockholm 1 year ago because of the collaborative meeting. Her name is Wala Abdelmanayan. And she will talk about what's the Arabic Wikipedia is going on about the Wiki Woman Prize. Let's give her a round of applause.
Okay. Hi all, I am Mora from Egypt, the first female admin on Arabic Wikipedia. I'd like to share our experience to increase female content and decrease gender gap on Arabic Wikipedia. Let's start. My Iraqi colleague and I organized Wiki Women Contest, a monetary prize which given to best contributors about women in Arab work for 4 rounds. We start from 1st of December 2015, and it was in 30 of November 2016. This contest aimed to develop Wiki Women project in Arabic Wikipedia. Our goals were increasing female content and participation on Arabic Wikipedia and the Commons, promoting the quality, quantity, credibility of female content within the scope of Wikimedia Foundation projects. And our results regarding to users, number of users, edits, articles, photos from the first round, second round, third round, and fourth round. And the main measure of success is that 6 featured articles, 9 good articles, 8 featured lists, 1 featured portal, 8 featured photos, 7,087 new articles, and 480 new photos. This is our measure of success for this prize, Wiki Women Prize in Arabic Wikipedia. Thank you.
Thank you, Wala. Very concise, and just showing the number gives you the awe. And so the very next one comes a long way from Nepal. It's more of my neighbor than in Asia. Let's welcome Janek Bhatta. He will explain the diversity of Nepal. Give her a round of applause. Yay!
Namaste. I'm Janek Bhatta from Nepal.
Yes, that's you.
So, no, okay. So, if you talk to a man in a language he understands, if you talk to him in his language, sorry, I repeat it. If you talk to a man in a language he understands and it goes to his head, but if you talk to a man in his language, it goes to his heart. Nelson Mandela. So today I'm talking about the challenges we are facing in Nepal. Gender gap is a main challenge. We have in Wiki movement in Nepal, and senior citizen, retired and veteran citizen. We have less contributions by that group. senior citizen. We can say the retired and senior citizen. So Nepal is a multilingual, multicultural, and multi-ethnic country. There are 123 recorded languages spoken as mother tongue. That is CBS 2011 recorded. These languages fall in a 4 major language family. Out of them, 70 languages have its own script. Being a small Himalayan country, so many languages there. And like a language, there are 125 ethnic groups in Nepal. They have their own culture, own tradition. So in a small country, so many ethnic groups are there. They live together. Nepal is a birthplace of Gautam Buddha. All of you know about this. And we have a Wikipedia in Nepali, Nepal Bhasha, which is also called Newari. That language is spoken in Kathmandu especially. And Maithili, Sanskrit, Pali, Bhojpuri, and Doteli. Doteli is my native language. 5 months ago, we established that Doteli Wikipedia. I lead the Doteli language, and we established Doteli language. Being a diversified country, Nepal has opportunities in Wikimedia movements. Diversity is a powerful source of creativity and development. So it builds community to community, country to country, continent to continent. We can exchange our culture, our tradition by different events. Suppose in this month, November month, we are organizing event Wikipedia ASEAN month. I'm also organizer from Nepali Wikipedia. So not within an Asia, we can exchange this type of event in all around the globe, all around the world. So this made us, we can exchange our culture. This keeps friendship between community to community, and it gives cultural harmony between the different communities and different our countries. So collaboratively, we can do more. Main challenges is gender gap. I have shown here one statistics. There are 9 female and 120 male. It is a vast gap in Nepali Wikipedia. Nepali is a major language in Nepal. So in other Wikipedia, there is negligible, negligible female contribute in that Wikipedia. So this is a vast gap. And I have already told you, retired and veteran citizen also less to contribute on Wikipedia. So November 1st, we have organized event for this senior citizen, first time in Nepal, a meetup. Recently, we are organizing an editathon for citizen. Okay, thank you very much. I have some summary. Wikimedia in Nepal. These are some facts and brief introduction about Wikimedia of Nepal. You can see here, yes. And I have some posters. You can see. Yeah. Thank you very much.
No, I'm not around. But yes. Thank you for joining Wikipedia Asian Month.
Oh, thank you.
I just want to.
Thank you very much.
Okay, so yes, please go back.
Okay.
I think I am personally amazed by how small the country is, and how diverse the language is. And the support of our Asian partners is very large. So in this section, we have two different speaker that mostly from Egypt and from Nepal. Try to express your reflection or what's the questions you have now from the last two speeches in 30 seconds with your partners. Go. You have or reflection you have. There's no question from me. It's you find a there's no question from me. Just, after you can ask the question directly to her later. Yeah, but we don't have time for Q&A. And Philip, is Philip here? Okay, so thank you everyone. We're going to move on. It will be the last session of the lightning talk. Right now, then, in the last three sessions, we'll see another different zone of not only the female participation or the small language participation, but we'll see other interesting part. So the next one is from Claudia Garad. She is from Austria chapter, and they're having Wikimedia events a lot. I mean, more than Taiwan. So I define that a lot. And she will give you some tips about how to make the events more inclusive. Let's give her a round of applause.
Thank you. Yeah, so we hosted the Wikimedia Hackathon this year in spring, and the reason we did it was not only because we love organizing events, but we actually wanted to grow our tech-savvy community in Austria. So making the event newcomer-friendly was a very important part of us. And we prepared for that event for 2 years, and visiting other Wikimedia hackathons and going through the documentation that was available. We were not entirely satisfied with what has been tried up until that point to actually make these events, these tech events, newcomer-friendly. So what we did is we went outside the Wikiverse and tried to learn from others. So we ended up taking a lot of inspiration from a youth hackathon in Germany and Austria that works with young people in their early teens, and from tech events that were tailored around women and non-binary target groups. And what we saw there as a common pattern is like at the heart of these very inclusive events, there was usually a mentoring program, and a mentoring program that is a bit more than just throwing a couple of people together and saying like, hey, let's have fun together for the next 2 days. Like, this is your buddy, go on. And that was actually, like, it doesn't sound like a very radical idea, but it was a radical idea because our events, and the hackathon is one of them, was tailored around the existing community, which is fine and important, but it's not enough to make newcomers welcome. So what we did is we had mentors, existing long-term Wikimedians, to come, and the most important part was to manage expectations. So their only job was to be mentors for the whole weekend. They were not working on their own projects, they were there to teach others. And that was the radical part of it. We also put a lot of effort into the pedagogical aspects that we learned from these other communities, about how to be a good mentor, preparing people to that new role of being a mentor beforehand, but also during the hackathons, having regular check-ins with other mentors, learning from each other. And to achieve that, we actually had a role at our event of the mentoring program coordinator, and her job was nothing else than just preparing these people before the event, being there and coordinating those people during the event, and doing something like some pre-work after the event. We also tried to make that group of mentors very diverse, because we wanted to have diverse newbies, so that should be reflected in the people teaching them. And what was also very important to put these groups into the position that they can actually have a sense of achievement, that every newbie can walk out after 2 days and have something achieved for our movement, because that's very important to stay motivated afterwards, that you can actually go home and you contributed something to Wikipedia or the Wikimedia movement, like having a little bug fixed or contributed to like some tech projects here and there. And it's really like your thing, like you were not only bystander watching others doing that cool stuff, you did it, like you were part of it. So in a nutshell, what was the important takeaways from our side? Like the first one was to be bold. Like it was not easy to get through with these ideas because people were afraid to scare off the existing communities. That is very important for us, of course. But what we learned is it's not a zero-sum game. Inclusive events can also be very productive events. Actually, our hackathon was one of the most productive hackathons ever. We had the longest showcase. So in the end, on the last day, people present what they do. And that was a record. Like it was so long, it was almost too long. Why? Because people who were not mentors, they could work in peace. They were not disturbed because some people wanted something from them. And the newbies also actually walked out with like some things accomplished. So it's not a zero-sum game. It's not mutually exclusive. You can make the existing community very happy. They profit from a welcoming atmosphere just as much as newcomers do. And what's even more important is like all this takes time and resources and commitment over a longer amount of time. It's like nothing that just happens from now to the next second. So we need to put resources into that if we want to make that a reality. And we need to cherish these mentors, because that was also something surprising for me. I was afraid we wouldn't find enough mentors, but there are so many great Wikimedians out there that make great mentors, and we have to cherish them more. For me, these are the real rock stars of our movement. Like edit count is nice, but being a kick-ass mentor, that's what really gets us forward. We did a lot of other things, like we documented all of the mentoring program and a lot of other things to make events more inclusive and welcome, and have like, I included the links here if you want to do that, because now I watch all of our events with different eyes. And for example, Wikimania too, like this is not a very newcomer-friendly event. There are 1,000 people. If you're alone there, not with a group, you're lost. So I think this is not only for events where we want to teach skills, like editathons and hackathons. We should think about this in all of our events in the future, how we can make them truly welcoming. Thank you.
Thank you, Claudia. I think it's really a special expertise of how to teach edit Wikipedia and how to make people, how to be a good mentor like Master Yoda. It's really hard. But yeah, it's a very good model. So thank you, Claudia. And the next speaker is Philip. He is also involved a lot in education program in Serbia, and also a board member. Or are you just the chairman? Yeah, both. Yeah, doesn't matter. Of Wikimedia Serbia, and he will share how they started to have Wiki Loves Prize and something related to LGBT groups in their place. Let's welcome and give him a round of applause.
Hello. I like analog, so I'll just turn this on. So this is our staff, our office. We try to be diverse. We have 2 females, 2 LGBT members, 2 LGBT people. So I think we're diverse. But what the prerequisite for this is to be an open community and welcoming community, and a community that doesn't tolerate discrimination. So we have a 0 tolerance policy towards discrimination. So that's like the basis for what we want to do, and that is something LGBT. So we tried to do some LGBT projects a few years back when we had this gender gap / LGBT topic in our, or focus in our annual plan, but that didn't really work. And it didn't work because we didn't have a champion. We didn't have someone who would do that, who would push for that. And coincidentally, one of our newest staff members is openly gay, and he wanted to do something about it. He's an office manager, so he doesn't do any program work in general. But he wanted to do something program, and that's for him, that was personal, and I think that helped us a lot in kind of kicking things off. So he was the one who led this, and we needed some partnerships with some organizations to have this sort of bigger impact. So we partnered up with Civil Rights Defenders Organization and Belgrade Pride. And that was, well, you'll see the results. But anyway, we were aware that there were some considerations because Serbia is still very much a homophobic country. So it's hard to do this right. So we had these considerations in mind. For example, when we took photos from the Pride Parade, we tried not to take photos of people's faces because that's still an issue for many people, and also because they're still in the closet. So we had an edit-a-thon and we had the Pride Parade photo shoot. After the edit-a-thon, we had some problems with the articles because the community itself reflects the society that we live in, and it's still homophobic. So we had a lot of comments. Several articles were nominated for deletion, and thankfully none of them got deleted. So there are different comments, and there was this one positive example, this local artist who's not very known, like known at all outside the LGBT sub-community, but with good arguments, with references, with a lot of persuasion, we managed to keep it alive, to make that article stay. So it didn't get deleted in the end. So that was a really good example and powerful for us. As for the Pride Parade participation, yeah, we see that as empowering, as helping bring awareness about the LGBT issues to the general public. And we see this as something that we should really focus on because it's something that helps the society at large. And these are the results. They're pretty modest, but it's something that's new for us. So we had about 30 articles added, several participants, about 70 photos. So it's not anything spectacular, but it's something to get us started. And compared to like a few years ago when we had zeros for all those metrics, that's something for us. And as for the future, we want to increase the number of participants. We want better results, obviously. We want to reduce the gender gap because it's still, even though it's LGBT, it's mostly men. So we want diversity within diversity, and to involve more LGBT plus organizations, which can be hard in and of itself because they are sometimes complicated to work with, especially in our context, because there's a lot of bickering between themselves. But anyway, what we want to do is just move on with this and get better results, even though we live in a homophobic country where there's still a lot of daily issues for LGBT people. So with that in mind, thank you.